What's going on, guys? Welcome back. We're out in the shop on a Saturday here. Got a few things going on. I've got a little side project that I want to try to get tackled today, and I'll show you guys what we got. This is a sign that I'm cutting out for a guy down the road here. He found out that I had the capability to do this sort of thing, and he was in the Marine Corps, so he asked if I could cut him out a sign with the Marine logo on it. So got that going. Thank you, veterans. We've also got something going over here. We got some fence we're working on. Some custom fencing. This one here, this is the real problem. I have been wanting to tackle this for a long time. I've got a pile of material here. I leave my smaller sheets sitting here so that if I need to cut something small, a bracket, a pick and eye, something like that, then it's easily accessible. But this is a mess. And I can't stand it anymore. I have a really hard time with this type of system. So it's not user friendly. And so we're going to try to build some sort of a metal rack right here today and see if we can get this more organized. So I'm going to start clearing this out and we'll see what we can get done here. A lot of this stuff I can probably just throw out. There's not a whole lot of meat left on the bone there. I'll probably scrap that. That's the other good thing about doing a project like this is you can trim the fat. You can get rid of some things you've been hanging on to forever. Okay guys, so just like always, for me anyways, if I start a project like this, it usually ends up turning into 3, and this one's no different. So here's the deal. I've never really been happy with the way I did the conduit here. You can see I had to change some things here and drop this down. This is some 3-phase power right here. I want to change that. I don't really like the way it looks. It's not a functionality thing, it's just I don't like the way it looks. And when people walk into my shop, I want them to be able to look at my shop and think, well, things in the shop are nice and neat. I would hope that his work is a reflection of how his shop looks. It's organized. And when I have things like this, me, myself, I have a hard time with it. I start twitching and I don't handle this well. So I have the opportunity now to fix this because this 3-phase power needs to be moved so that our metal rack can be here. I don't like this is the plug for the iron worker, and I don't like that it's draping across here. I thought I could either extend the cable and run it over, but then it would still be in the way, or I can move this over here closer to the beam right here, and then the cable will reach and it will be out of the way. Plus I'll be able to fix this conduit that I've never liked since I did it. So it gives me an excuse to fix it, so that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to show all the electrical work because I'm not an electrician. I do all my own electrical for the most part, but I'm no electrician. I'm comfortable enough to do what I need to do, but I don't want to teach others how to do that because I don't want that liability. So I just got back from the store, had to go pick up some tools. I'd be ungrateful if I didn't mention this. Come walking in the shop, and my wife has left me a Valentine because today's Valentine's Day. So a little beef jerky. I'm not sure what's in here. Let's take a look. Let's just cut it, shall we? Oh, snap! Every shop needs a toolbox full of chocolate. Oh yeah. I think I might just keep that out here and keep it stocked with chocolate. You guys don't see my wife a whole lot, but she is the foundation for my success. She's the reason I'm able to do what I do. I could not do this without her, and I love her. So hopefully she watches this video and she knows how grateful I am for her. Oh, and I thought this was funny. The happiest women are somehow always married to a man with a bad back, always on his phone, caffeine addiction, and a real short memory. And that is me to a T. So I'm sorry for her, but she knew what she was getting into, I guess. Let's get back to work. We'll go over and we'll start tearing some of this conduit apart. So I'm going to go ahead and lock out the breaker, make sure we don't have any energy over there, and then we'll start disconnecting the wires, taking the conduit down that I want to change. I'll see if I can't get some time-lapse footage of that, so let's go see what we can do. Alright, what's up guys? It's the next day. I'll show you guys what I got done yesterday. I did get the conduit in. You can see I do have to still put the outlet in, and I've got to pull some wire for the feed coming from the panel for this circuit and then tie it all in. So that's pretty much what we have left to do to get the electrical done. That's about all we have to do for the electrical. Then we can start on the actual task at hand. So I'll see if I can get the wire pulled and everything hooked up, and then I always like to turn it on, check it, make sure it's functional, and that I'm not going to burn the shop down after I get it all completed. So we'll get to that point and then we'll come back and give you guys an update. Alright guys, let me give you an update here. We got all the conduit done, everything's wired back up. We've been using it today and it's working good. I did have to put a bigger box in there, and then I moved the outlet there for the iron worker, and then I also added some conduit down here for the ground that ties into the beam, and that ground's for the table. So we got everything all cleaned up. That's where the metal rack's going to go. So now that that's done, I'll show you what else I've been working on. I was trying to decide how I wanted to build this rack, and originally I was thinking I wanted to do some kind of like a trough for each size of plate. I didn't want to just buy a bunch of material so that I could build a metal rack. I've got plenty of stuff there. I just wanted to try to decide what to use. So what we got here is some 12-inch channel. I was not going to use that for anything. That's not super common for a lot of the things that I'm going to use around here. I decided to cut that up and use a couple pieces of that. Flipped it upside down, and then I will have some tube uprights, 2 on either end of each one of these pieces, so it kind of gives it a natural trough to sit in. It's not somewhere that bugs and things are going to gather and then I'm going to have to clean it up. The other thing I did is I cut a bunch of this 1 1/4 tube, 3/16 wall, so it's good and heavy, and I'm going to weld this all up with dual shield. This is going to hold quite a bit of weight. I don't want it tipping over. I want it to be stable. I want it to support the weight. You know, if I'm going to put a piece of 3/8 plate in there, I want it to hold it. So we're going with some pretty heavy 1 1/4 tube here. We're going to do some frames. We're going to build some U-shaped frames, and we'll weld those up on our Dragon Wagon. I'm going to go ahead, clean these up a little bit, and then we'll start welding those out. So that's the next order of business. Let's go. Alright guys, you can see here we got a frame set up on the table here. Got some fence blocks up, and we're able to just slap this frame in here. The measurements work out just right because I want these 24 inches on an OD. I've got that put into place. I could clamp them down. I'm going to clamp them down just in case because I don't want them to move when I tack them. But I am going to go ahead and tack them, and then I'll roll them I tack the other side. Okay, so I've got those clamped into place. Then I'm just going to tack these. Let that cool for just a second. And then I'm going to flip it and tack the other side. Swing those out of place. Take the ground clamp off. Just sweep my berries out of the way. Put those right back in place. Everything looks good. Clamp that back down. Okay, so we're just going to continue to repeat this process. So then I'll put these in place. Okay, and then I'll slam that back into place. Thing of beauty. Goodness, this table. So we'll just repeat this process. So it's pretty much just going to be rinse and repeat on this part of the project. So I'll go ahead and get the rest of these all tacked up, and then when we're ready to weld them out, I'll come back to you. Alright guys, so we're on to the next phase of the project. I built one more of these U-shaped frames here, and you can see that I spliced this leg because I didn't have enough tubes, so I took two pieces, welded them together, and I was able to get my last frame. So we'll just go ahead and start welding these out. You can see that I didn't 45 the corners. If this was something that was going to be outside and had a potential of getting water in it, I would probably build it a different way. I would probably 45 the corners, but where this is just a metal rack, it's just going to be easier to build it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and weld this. We'll get all these welded out, and then we'll be ready to start welding up the base. So let's weld these up. We're going to weld them up with our 045 dual shield. We're using the XMT. We're running it at 25.8 volts and about 315 inches a minute. CO2 for the cover gas. Alright, so I'm actually just welding both sides of these where the tube meets up together. So where the tube meets up together, you can see there's a pretty good gap there, right here. So it really doesn't have to be gouged out, because where the corner meets the edge of the tube, there's a pretty good little channel, little trough there for the weld. Where the main purpose of these frames is just to sit there and hold plate up, there really doesn't need to be much more weld than I've got on there. I don't even think I'm going to weld the outside, because I'd have to gouge it out, and I just really don't feel like it's necessary. I will weld the inside corners, but after I weld the inside... Whoa! We got a visitor.
Dad, guess what I did?
What did
I doorbell ditch our house.
You doorbell ditched the house?
Yes, our house.
You trying to get a spanking?
No!
So I am going to weld the inside corners on these, and then I'm just going to leave them like that. As far as the welding goes, it's going to be pretty quick on these. So we'll go ahead and get these all welded out. And then I won't put you guys through me cleaning it up. I'm going to clean up the spatter on them. Just hit them with a buffer, and then we should be ready to start working on the base. So I'll get these welded out. We'll come back to you. All right, guys, next order of business. I've got to weld these two pieces of channel together. So I'm going to butt them up side by side. And I'm going to stitch weld them top and bottom. I want to make sure I get good tacks on it before I weld it to try to alleviate any warpage. We don't want this thing to banana. So I think one of the things I want to do here is lay out a stitch pattern. It's 30 inches long, so I'm just going to go probably just 3 stitches on the bottom, 2 inches long, and this will be on both pieces. The reason I'm marking these is I'll probably bevel this just a little bit to give it a little bit more penetration when I weld it. So I've got that marked. It's wide enough on the top. I'm going to stitch weld this edge together. It's wide enough that I don't think I need to gouge that or anything. I'm just going to put some stitches across that. So I'm going to go ahead and grind this with the grinder just a little bit. I'll get both pieces prepped up, and then when we're ready to tack and weld this, we'll come back to you. Alright, so I've got my channel flipped back over. If you've ever worked with channel, you should know that channel, it's kind of like beam. It's never perfect. You get some highs and lows, just the process that they use to manufacture it. It's not perfect. So you're going to get some highs and lows, and things aren't going to be perfect in every place. We've got a little bit of high on this side. I got a little bit of high on this side down here. It's not a big deal, but just know that I've seen before where guys will sit and try and mess with a piece of beam to get 2 surfaces absolutely perfect. And a lot of times with beam or channel, it's just not practical, because when they manufacture it, it isn't perfect. It's not like tube. You end up getting some inconsistencies in the manufacturing process. So, alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is get some good tacks on this. Okay, so now I got tacks on this. It was flat on the table, so the backside surface, which is what's going to sit on the floor, should be pretty dang close, which it is. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it like that. We'll go ahead and stitch weld this. Okay, now I know this is going to sit on the floor, so I don't want my welds to protrude past this surface too far. Yes, I could hit it with a grinder, but if you can make it flat and have less grinder work, then that would be best. So that's what we're doing. So then I'll hit these with a wire wheel and show you guys how flat you can get them. Okay, got all the spatter off. So now that I've got those stitch welds on, I'm going to go ahead and roll this. Okay, so there's our welds on that ridge. See, we just kind of, I didn't run a whip on those, I just went ahead and pushed them. All right, so the next step of this is we need to get it laid out. So I've already done some calculations, and I know these are 1.25 inches. I'm going to have 2, 2. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll pull my measurements here, I'll get my lines laid out, and then I'll know where those frames need to be tacked. So let me go ahead and get this all laid out, and then we'll come back to you when we're ready to tack these on. All right, we're ready to tack these. So this is on the table, feels good and solid. It's always a good idea to check your table just to make sure nothing's moved, make sure that it's level, and my table is level. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting one of these in place. I've got it on my marks. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my level on this. Probably put it over here. You guys won't be able to see the level, but I do have it on here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tack this. So if I get a couple tacks on it, and then get it level, put a couple more tacks on it, and I think it's going to be easier if I weld these out one at a time. Because if I tack them all and then come back and weld them all, it's going to be tighter for me to get in here. So I think I'll just go ahead and weld these out. And I can see that I'm a little bit out, but I know this is going to pull. So it needs to kind of rock back towards me. So I will go ahead and weld this side first. That'll pull it back this way. And then I'll hurry and bounce over here and weld this opposite side. And I am not putting real heavy welds on this. Okay, and it pulled exactly like I thought it would. Okay, so I got the two opposite sides done. Now I'll weld the other sides. That pulled right into place, just perfect. Okay, we're just going to keep on working. I should have 5 places to fit plate, and I figured if I had 10 gauge, well, 14 gauge, 10 gauge, 3/16, quarter, and 3/8. That's, and I really don't even keep a whole lot of 3/8 out here, so I think that's going to be good for what we're doing. So I'm just trying to decide if I want to put the frames that close together. think I've made up my mind. I'm going to spread them evenly. Alright, so the other thing I like about this design is the channel is obviously going to be kind of a trough for the plate that sits in it. And I like that because that plate can really make a mess over there when it starts getting rusty and you take it on and off the table and it gets that crusty stuff from the fluid in the table on it. It'll keep a lot of that mess inside of this, and then I can just vacuum it out when I clean it once every blue moon. It's pretty interesting when you sit and play the warp game. If you watch your level and you can see that it's leaning a certain way. And so if my frame is leaning this way, I want to weld this side because it will pull back this way. So you sit and play the game, that level's sitting pretty much perfect. And as you sit and pull back and forth, you'll watch the level go back and forth. And if you play that game long enough, you kind of know what you need to do to get it to land in the middle. And I'm pretty happy with the way it's working out. So if I haven't mentioned it before, Fireball Scraper, it's one of my favorite tools in the shop. Check them out. Life-changing. So I just want to try to show you guys something. Hopefully you can see from that angle. Hopefully you can see the bubble. It's favoring the line on that side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tack this side, not this side. If I tack this side, it's going to pull it back this way. So here we go. Okay, so now it's settled right in the middle. It's actually pulling a little bit past. Okay, so now I'm going to put tacks on the other side. So now I'm ready. So now if it's in the middle, it really doesn't matter which side you pick, but you want to make sure that you hurry and hit this one and then bounce over and hit this one, because they're going to pull against each other. So now I'll try to get some more video of that. You guys can watch the level and see what it does. Okay, so you guys can watch the level. I'm going to weld this up and you guys see what it does. So I'm going to hurry up and weld the one side and then bounce over and weld the other, and I'm going to do it to both legs. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's creaking and pulling. And then when it stops moving, so that's where she settled. Just pretty much perfect. So it takes some practice, but as you practice which side to weld and how you want to pull it and when to weld which side, you'll get better at it. And you'll get to where you can have it land right where you want it most of the time. It's not all the time, but most of the time you can kind of manipulate it to where you want it to end up. Alright, so now I'm going to weld the opposite sides. We'll get this welded out, and then once it's welded out, I'm going to clean it up a little bit with a grinder, get it ready to move over, and we'll be able to start loading our plate up. Here we go. All right, let's take a look at the final product before we put it in place. So we should be able to fit a pretty decent amount of plate in there. It should hold plenty of weight. Shouldn't be any risk of tipping it over. It is nice being able to use just some leftover material from some jobs that I've had for a project like this, because I can accomplish two things. I can get rid of some of the material over there that's kind of in my way that I wasn't going to use really for anything else. And number two, I can get more organized. So all that's left to do now is get it in place, start getting the plate organized. So we'll go over and do that now. See, not sure about the reach on this. Let's see. Sure beats carrying it over here. Oh yeah. All right, so there's how she looks in place. Still gives me plenty of room if I need to get back in this corner. Plenty of room to operate the iron worker. I like that. I could actually scoot it this way a little bit if I need to. We'll see how it goes as I start putting plate in there. I may scoot it this way just a little bit in case I have a 4-foot wide piece, which I believe I do have a couple. So we'll start putting the plate in. Here we go. Got the metal rack all put in. So I started back here against the wall with the thicker plate because I actually use it less. The most common for me is honestly probably 10 gauge. 10 gauge and quarter. 3/8 is quite a bit more rare for me. So I've got 3/8 up against the wall, quarter, 10 gauge. I actually have some more 10 gauge there, /11 gauge. And then some 14 gauge. And I don't really burn a whole lot out of 14 gauge, usually just post caps and stuff like that. But I'm happy with how it turned out. I like how organized it looks. I was also able to go through this, clear out all the stuff that was too small that I really probably wasn't going to use. Sometimes a project like this just gives you an excuse to clean some things up. So I'm happy that I was able to move the outlet. and fix the conduit and get that nice and straight. That'll keep my turrets at bay. So that's probably going to wrap this one up. Just remember, when you are organized, I believe you set yourself up for success. You're able to be more effective and more efficient. So thanks again for watching. Appreciate all the support. Hope you guys have a good one. See you on the next one. I wanted to use up some of my scrap. I didn't want to just buy material to build a metal rack. I didn't want to just buy material to build a metal rack. Metal rack. It'll sit flat on the floor, so it's not somewhere that dirt and bugs are gonna, what's the word? Flock? Do bugs flock? Okay, so I got my plates. Goodness. You end up getting some you just end